This video is for adults only. This video is about sex, love, passion, sex on psychedelics, sex and sex toys, and how sex is an art between two. Like, I just want to have a conversation about sex because it's like sex is such a taboo topic, and like it's almost like it's weird because sex is where we come from. Like it's why we're all here. So this video is for adults only. No teens past this fucking point. Go watch a different video. But if you're grown and you are mature enough to handle this type of conversation, then let's get ready for this conversation. I don't know exactly where to start besides so right now I'm abstinent. The reason why I'm abstinent is because the type of sex that I enjoy having or that I like is the type of sex that you can really only do with someone that you love or with someone that loves you. Because I get turned on by being in love. And it sounds funny, but it's real. If I'm not fully in love with the chick, she probably wouldn't be able to get me excited in that aspect. I don't care how hot she is. I don't care how beautiful. It doesn't matter, because I'm not looking just for yeah. I love a beautiful face. I love a girl with a beautiful face because I don't want to get that detailed, but I guess what I'm just trying to say here is that this video is going to be a little detailed, a little explicit, because why not? Because everyone's we can't talk about sex in that way. We all know we all have sex, but nobody really talks about how they have sex or what they like or what they enjoy. It's in couples. Couples barely even tell each other what they like and what they enjoy, let alone making a video telling a bunch of strangers, so this is how I sex. This is how I whatever. So it's a, whatever. But I just want to have this conversation because of how taboo this conversation is. And because I'm me. So I'm whatever. But so being single, I don't have sex, but I'm looking back on the past and it's okay, so 3-4 years ago, I was in a polygamous relationship where I had 2 girlfriends. We all lived in the same apartment and did the thing. But over time, I started connecting with the other girl more than the girl I already had. As I was in that polygamous relationship, I literally felt so connected to the other person, before we even really started doing much. I don't know how to explain it, but it was a different type of connection other than just a sexual connection. Because, we're in a 3-way relationship, sex is a part of it, and we used to have fun. Being in the 3-way relationship, things were just kind of fun. One time, we had sex on the fridge. One time, just other shit. She gave me head with the other girl right there. It was some, having fun, exploring wild shit, whatever. And that was kind of the beginning of that was the 3-way. And, but the actual real love got involved, because I thought I was in love. Because before the 3-way relationship, I was in a 4-year relationship. I was with this girl for 4 years. And before that, I was with, another girl that I was with for 5 years back, in the past. So, I've had, decently long relationships those times. So, you think that you're in love because you live with the person, you love the person, you do the thing with the person, but you think you're in love until real love punches you in the fucking face. Because it was this true connection of, I could talk to this girl from 6 o'clock at night until 7 o'clock in the morning with just us smoking some weed and conversating. We didn't, in the beginning we didn't trip together type shit. So we would just conversate and vibe and connect and smoke and chill, and we were best friends. Before I ended up then, because of that, that started happening. Because of that, I ended up leaving the girl that I was with to just stay with the one girl, to just have one girl, to no longer be in a polygamous relationship. Because being in a polygamous relationship, it's good if you're not trying to actually, and I know people are gonna maybe disagree with this, but it's just from my personal experience. For me to truly dedicate to true love, I had to only be, like, you can only be in true love with one person at a time. You can have love for two girls, but, like, do you actually connect with those two girls outside of sex? Like, do you connect with them spiritually, emotionally? Can you conversate for hours on similar type topics and bounce back between topics and like, once I figured out, holy shit, there's a girl I can do that with, like, I can do this with, and she'll just sit there and, like, she's listening, and we conversate about certain things. We might then switch the topic, then we might go do different things. Because when I left the girl, things got a little rough for me and the one girl at the time. So, because obviously we had less money, less things or whatever. The internet was in her name, so we lost the internet for a little bit. But when we lost the internet for a little bit, we had each other. So, like, we sat in our apartment playing Sorry together, just, enjoying the thing. I would, like, go run to download some trip reports and some movies and stuff, because she was starting to get interested in psychedelics, and so she wanted to learn and watch trip reports or whatever. So I would go run to this fucking Wi-Fi spot, download a bunch of trip reports and a bunch of videos from YouTube and documentaries and shit, and then maybe download some movies or whatever, and then run back to the apartment and upload the movies, switch them to my computer, and then we'd watch them. So, like, in the beginning things were rough, but then things started to get better as time went on, and a lot of people, like, everyone's relationship is different, and like, an outsider looking in would never understand why we were connected, like, why we were so whatever. Now, this is the relationship that ended up ending because she left me, like, a year and a half ago, but just because it ended does not mean it was a failure. I feel like that relationship was more of a success than most relationships I've seen, because it was this crazy, unimaginable, like, almost not real. Like, if I'm gonna try to explain some of this, but it's almost not real. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because I'm finally over her, like, in that way, where, like, I genuinely wish her the best, I genuinely, like, whatever, but I'm over it in a sense where I can talk about it without being like, oh, like, whatever. It's like, I'm over it and I've moved on. But just because I moved on doesn't mean I can't look back and be like, oh, that was fucking awesome. Like, because we had this deep connection that was building for months, like, before the lead up to us doing psychedelics together. It's not like we just got in a relationship and did psychedelics together. It's that we built this connection, this, deep bond, this deep friendship, this deep thing, and then we did psychedelics together. And then doing psychedelics together, it was a whole different type of thing. Because the first thing we started doing, I think we tried, we did LSD together one time, and it was like this beautiful thing where, like, it was her first trip, and it was like a magical thing. It was dope. But then there was, later on, when we couldn't get any more we were just taking Hawaiian baby woodrow seeds, and that's when her spiritual psychedelic journey began. Like, taking Hawaiian baby woodrow seeds, like, I mean, we tried having sex on Hawaiian baby woodrow seeds, and it worked, like, and it was almost, like, more connected, more spiritual, but with Hawaiian baby woodrow seeds, it was more of a, just put a blindfold on and go on a journey. And her trips with Hawaiian baby woodrow seeds were so mind-blowing. I mean, so insane. Like, she had experiences with traveling and going on like, with these aliens and, like, the Anunnaki and some moth alien thing, and she had another experience where she was, like, she got to travel and like, she said there was, like, this being that was, like, put her on a yo-yo, and she would, like, swing the yo-yo back and forth, and she would go to different places, but then she swung the yo-yo too far, and she said she landed in a place where, like, there was like this planet with all females, and like the females gave her like a bath, like a cleansing bath with flowers in the bath, and like all these different things, and was like kind of taking care of her or whatever. And then she said she went too far when the person forgot the thing, and that it like kind of was putting her into like some darkness type thing. And then when the thing brought her back, she came back, and like that's kind of when she put the blindfold off and like kind of woke up out of the trip and was like, holy shit, like. But so we've had a lot of those type of trips, and then we started getting back into like doing because once she had enough Hawaiian Bee Woodrow seeds experiences, she couldn't drink it again, because it reminds me of how people talk about the ayahuasca, how like ayahuasca tastes worse as you if you drink more, like the more times you drink it, the worse that it tastes for some reason. And that's exactly what happened with her, and me, with the Hawaiian Baby Woodrow seeds. I would make a cold water extraction, and I'd add some different things into it to try to ease the nausea a little bit and to try to help, and then we drink it down. But the taste got so bad to her that she was like, I can't take that anymore. So then we stopped taking that, and then we started taking LSD, and then that's when we had some like completely like magical, mind-blowing connective experiences where like we would like do different, because we were already this type of couple, like we already had sex all the time. Like before psychedelics, we had sex basically every day. So like, I mean, we basically had sex almost every day for like 2 years straight, because I was with her for 2 years. But like, so we basically had sex almost every day for 2 years straight. And it was to the point where I would basically ask her for a break. I would say like, listen, I just need a 3-day break. I swear to God, I'll be back on it in 3 days. Just give me 3 days. Like, that's all. And like, it was that's why I look back and I'm like, the more I look back and look at it, I'm like, man, I fucked up. I fucked up losing her. Like, I fucked up. But it is what it is, because life happens how it just happens. Now, so I'm looking back, and I'm like, okay, we had all these experiences. Then we had these experiences with LSD. And then, like, it was so insane, because sex on LSD is a lot more pleasurable than normal. But it was deeper than the physical feeling of pleasure. It was the connection between two souls having this bond between each other. The LSD just allowed us to have more fun, be more wild, because we were already wild with sex. Like, choking, sex toys, vibrators. Like, the first time, now, we were just experimenting with all these things together to the point where when we did MDMA for like the third time or fourth time together, it was the first time that she squirted or whatever. So like we was just sitting there, she was playing, she was do it, and then she squirted, and then from there on out, she would let me kind of just do the thing and like let her squirt, and then she would squirt on me, and then we'd have sex, and then we'd do the thing, and then it would be fun. The whole bed would be whatever, and then we'd have sex in the puddle and do the thing. Sometimes we would just did some wild shit. Like I said, the choking, the whole thing, and there's a way to choke a girl having sex. There's a way to do it that's not, I don't know how to explain it, but there was a way. And if you know the way, then there's a way where it's pleasurable yet not not whatever, and you're just actually just in it or whatever. And like, I don't know, we would just do a lot of crazy shit. Like the vibration feeling on me feels great when you're tripping as well. So she would sometimes kind of hold the thing and do the thing and whatever. But that's why I said I don't. This video was like a explicit video, because I'm going a little too detailed. But I'm talking about this because for some reason sex is so taboo that like you can't. It's almost like taboo for me to be like, oh, she we'd have the vibrator and I would hold it on her and she would squirt, and then because it was like one of those wand things, so like then she would just take it and like put it on me, and then whatever, and then we would do the thing and have sex. And when we would have sex sometimes on LSD, sometimes she would have visions, or she became a tree once, and when she became a tree, she said like as the tree is growing, like it feels like an orgasm, as like an orgasm is just like orgasmic, and it kind of like spreads out like an orgasm. She said that's what the tree felt like as it was like stretching up to the sun. And then in that same trip, she became a spider, and when we were having sex, she asked me, like, am I a spider or am I a human? And at the time, I had no idea the visions that she was having. She didn't tell me the visions until after we were done having sex. So when she asked me, is she a spider or a human, all I could assume is that she was going through some shit. And I just was like, you're a human. And it, like, confirmed to her. Now, I could only, like, she said something about if I would have said she was a spider, it would have kind of freaked her out. But, like, because I said, human, now, I didn't know, but, like, experiences like that happened all the time between us. Okay, so, like, because of how connected we were able to do this thing and be so open with each other and so connected with each other. We always had conversations about, like, maybe having 3-ways with different girls, but instead we would always, like, just kind of revert to just watching porn together or something while we're tripping, while we're having sex, doing this thing or whatever. Things went wrong when you give a man all of this shit, bro. Like, I kind of fucked up. Because once we added MDMA in the thing, now this is why I've never done MDMA since. I've never done MDMA since the last time I did MDMA with her. I haven't done it since because of this. Because once we added the MDMA into our thing, it fucked everything up. It made it more ego. Like, the MDMA did the typical thing to her that people say, the lovey-dovey, and makes her think about her emotions and want to talk about certain things and whatever. All the MDMA did for me was it felt good and I just wanted to have sex. Like, I don't know why. Like, we would take the same drug. Like, the same exact fucking drug. Break off a little piece from the same exact fucking piece. And I, for some reason, would always just have this, that you feel the thing, it feels good. It almost reminds me of, like, an edible, but, like, orgasmic, and, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it feels good. And it does feel good. But, like, I was explaining to her, I already feel lovey-dovey and huggy, and, like, I'm already talkative and open about talking about my life and feelings and whatever. That, to me, it didn't change, it didn't do anything. Besides, the only thing that was different with me is I felt good, and then when we had sex, and like an orgasm on MDMA feels great, but a lot of times it's almost impossible to orgasm on MDMA, so you're kind of chasing this thing, and it's like it's just this thing, and for some reason doing the MDMA just completely, like, fucked me up in the mind, like, and not in the good way that people describe. The good thing that people describe is what psychedelics do to me. Because the only time I could have sex on psychedelics is LSD, or we've done it on Hawaiian baby widow seeds, or like, done it on MDMA. But like I said, I'll never do MDMA again. But I could never have sex on mushrooms. She would be open for it, but I could never have sex on mushrooms because it would never, my thing would never work. And it's just, I almost am like, don't touch me there, type shit. Like, if I'm on the mushroom, like, I might get a little, like, defensive and be like, oh, don't fucking touch me there, type shit. Because I almost feel weird. It just feels weird in, like, not a good way. And weird in an uncomfortable way. And, like, even the girl I was with, like, when we tried to do it on the mushroom, I just couldn't. So then all we did was lay down, we put the blindfold on, and we did the thing. But with LSD, I was able to have fun with it and do the thing, which is why I don't really, with LSD now, it's a completely different tool. Like, intention really does matter, because before taking LSD with my ex, LSD was like a typical LSD trip that people describe. But when we started taking LSD together, it became some type of ritual, some type of ceremony with us, where we would do the thing. We would cuddle as it comes up. Then as it as the comes up, then we use the bathroom, and then we smoke and do a dab, or maybe if we don't have a dab, we do smoke a little weed, and then we have sex, and then we conversate and philosophize and go on the deep things about the universe or whatever. Then we might have some more sex, but like, it was this thing, and it was dope while it lasted, right? Because, like I said, I think what really fucked it up was the MDMA, and I think that like, it just fucked up the relationship because it fucked up my, like, I lost thought, and I did a lot of disrespectful things and a lot of fucked up things where, like, I wasn't even thinking about how fucked up those things were because it was like they're not that big of a deal to me. And I guess it wasn't that big of a deal because I was on the MDMA, or even when I wasn't on the MDMA, it's like it had a residual drag to it. Like, I felt, obviously you feel the MDMA crash, you feel like shit, you feel sad, you're almost suicidal, you're almost this, you're angry, you're this, and we'd get in a lot of arguments after the MDMA would come down, and like it was just like, I'll never do that again. That's all I know. But really, I have no regrets though. Like, I don't have no regret losing her either, because life has gotten so awesome for me after. Like, things crashed when she left. It was the first time I've ever been alone by myself. But like now, it's like I'm sitting here and it's like, well, I'm at least glad that I went through that. Like, I'm glad I got to experience a love like that, a connection like that. The connection, because a lot of people, like, have a connection, but they're only connected on one aspect with somebody. And, like, they're connected with one person for one reason, but connected to another person for another reason. The connection me and her had was, like, we had multiple different connections with each other from multiple different, like, it was a beautiful relationship. And, like, it was what it was. And the sex that we had on the LSD, or the sex that we had sober, right? Because the sober sex that we had was just as wild as, like, the psychedelic sex, without, like, minus the visuals and the spiritual and the all this other shit and becoming a tree and, like, minus all that. But, like, the sex we had just in general was really adult. We would call it adult sex. Like, the type of sex that we had was that real adult, dirty but deep and connective love type of sex. Very tantra, because, like, I've researched tantra and all this other stuff. So with her, I was able to practice certain things, and, like, little things like just rubbing my hands on her body, like, before we get to, like, having fun or whatever. And even to the point when she would want me to touch her, it's like, no, I just continue. You wait and you kind of continue just rubbing the body. It was just one of the first relationships I got to experience exploring, experimenting with sex, experimenting with psychedelics, experimenting with conversations and friendship and connection, experimenting with, like, we, like, did our three-way relationship. That's how we started. But, like, it was experimenting with all these things with that person. That was amazing. So, like, don't be scared to explore, try, do things. Like, communication is key, like, literally. So, like, definitely communicate. And, like, I would explain to her, we need to communicate, because sometimes we'd have a trip where she wants to have sex but I don't, or I want to have sex and she doesn't, or, like, or some trips we didn't want to get sexual, so we would try to conversate that before the trip starts. We would try to, it didn't always happen, but, like, it was just this thing. So, like, I've never talked about this before because, like, I wanted to wait until I was genuinely over the relationship. And I feel like I'm genuinely over it, but just because I'm over it doesn't mean I can't look back and be like, that was great. So,